So far, all of the communication has been through the media, and ministers appeared today hoping to get some answers out of the Commonwealth about future funding for schools, about honouring election commitments, and unfortunately we didn't get that. What we did get instead was more uncertainty. The Commonwealth has implied that if there is a reduction in funding for states that have signed up, that indeed that reduction may well only come out of public schools. That is of enormous concern to all jurisdictions. I sought as chair some clarification about that, but none was forthcoming. So that adds a different level of complexity and uncertainty to what is already a difficult and uncertain proposition from the Commonwealth. There was a majority agreement amongst states and territories that we support a needs-based funding model based on the principles in the Gonski agreement or document. There was also a majority agreement amongst states and the Commonwealth that those states that have signed up to funding agreements, that those agreements be honoured, that those states that didn't sign up should receive additional funding, but that additional funding should not come at the expense of states that have signed up. And of course all states in the Commonwealth agree in the reduction of red tape and the prescriptive nature of what the previous Commonwealth government had applied to schools across this country. So all in all, I think ministers are very disappointed with no greater clarity over what the Commonwealth is proposing, and at the end of the day we're just ministers. The people who should be and will be most disappointed are the parents of the millions of children across schools in New South Wales and the rest of Australia that are going to have now an increased period of uncertainty. I made the point in New South Wales that the agreement we signed up to ended the 20 or 30-year war between government and non-government schools over funding. For 6 months we've had peace in terms of that argument, but unfortunately the actions by the Commonwealth have now reignited that and plunged education across this country into unnecessary uncertainty. The bottom line is the current federal government made unequivocal promises that they would honour dollar for dollar agreements and funding signed by the states, and those signature states are here as part of this press conference, and we are very disappointed that they have so far made announcements that they're not going to honour those agreements. We had every right to rely on those election promises, as did the millions of parents across Australia.
Can you give us an idea of just how heated the debate was in there about this issue?
The debate was very heated because there is a lot riding on this. There is no area of public policy more important than education, about additional dollars, but about funding certainty so that schools can plan for this year, for next year and for the years beyond that. You can't get meaningful and long-term change in schools if you only have funding certainty for 1 year, and that's what we've got. So ministers were very passionate in their advocacy for a funding system that provides some certainty and the honouring of agreements that were signed between the legitimate Commonwealth government, as unpopular as it may have been, and legitimate state governments.